Hello, everybody. Welcome to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. I'm Alex here today with Farbode
Hello.
and Alex.
Yo.
Alright, so today, after we go through some of the top stories in baseball, we're going to be going over a new segment with our top 5 players at each position this week, beginning with the starting pitchers. And then we'll finish up with the teams of the week with Twins and the Orioles. So, our first top story today is Evan Gattis going to Houston. Braves are dealing and getting some more prospects back.
I like this trade for both teams. Houston's getting a good catcher. They're getting power hitting catcher. Grew up there. So, I mean, that's one aspect I think he's really happy there too. But, not that does anything, but it's just something like he grew up there. And, for the Braves, they keep getting some, prospects, so that's good for them. Their future right now with the guys they're getting is looking pretty good.
I'm gonna say it's an okay move for both sides. It kind of sounds like Gattis is gonna play more left field than DH since they have kind of already an incumbent catcher in Jason Castro.
They have Jason Castro, they have Corporon, they have Stassi.
And Gattis isn't really hailed for his defensive abilities, so
Yeah.
it looks like they're just trying to add that. To be honest, and I really like it for the Braves. I don't love it for either team because the Braves seem to have given up a relatively young player who they have controlled for a while for three prospects, and none of them are more than B prospects. So there's a chance none of those guys ever make the major leagues as contributors. So even for a rebuilding team like them, I'm not really sure. The offseason as a whole with that move, included just doesn't seem to be going into any clear direction. While for the Astros, they're going to be so bad next year again, in my opinion, that I don't know. It just really, it almost seems, I guess you eventually have to start trying to get good, with, talent that's not just minor league. But, I think the Astros, made, slightly won the deal in my opinion, since they're at least getting the better player and they're at least trying to finally move into that direction of upgrading the roster, not just through the draft. But since they're already so bad and they're already relying so much on their in-house prospects, giving up 3 guys for 1 is an interesting way to go.
Yeah, I think this is just like the first step that they're taking in stepping out of this rebuilding phase, which is sometimes a tough thing to do. You get caught up in stockpiling these prospects and trying to work them in to the major leagues through your own system when you without realizing that you can trade a few of these guys as you're coming out of this process and get some, I guess, he's not really a veteran, but some experienced power.
Yes.
From other sources. And, the Braves are obviously kind of going the rebuild direction, but they're still kind of maintaining, they're trying to maintain some kind of stability. They got Nick Markakis and they're still not fully going an Astros rebuild kind of direction. They're taking it a little bit differently, but,
which I find that weird, kind of.
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan of like the half rebuild and.
No, I always strongly disagreed with it.
Oh yeah,
but,
I don't like
I think
half
it's what
rebuild.
they have to do. Like, at this point they're not gonna be a top team in that division, but they also don't want to be the bottom team.
Fair enough. I think they're probably too talented after being almost a playoff team last year to just destroy it in one off season.
Exactly. Like, what kind of expectation would that set if you got, this contending team drop down to the bottom, after one season? It kind of shows that they're not really trying, even though they are. So that's what it tells their fan base anyway. It tells baseball.
I agree.
So, yeah, I guess
It's
if you have to pick a side that won this trade.
It's a very meh move, I feel like, for both teams.
I mean, I kind of like it for the Astros. I would say the Astros win this trade on paper, but for what the Braves are trying to do, I guess it makes sense. If that, because Gattis is definitely a proven hitter at this point in his career, which is very, very short. So.
Alright, so.
And by the way, with that, I don't think he'd be getting much DH time with Carter there too.
Oh, that's true. But that's weird then. He doesn't have any position really to play for them. I wouldn't call him a good defensive outfielder, so that's.
He's not. He's god awful, but I think he's going to get much more catching time than. I have a feeling he's going to get more catching time than Jason Castro.
I'm not a fan of using terrible defensive catchers, but that's the move they want to go. That's the move they want to go.
So the Astros right now, they want the hitting. They need something. So.
You look at their lineup top to bottom. It really isn't.
It's not
a
terrible.
Bad lineup.
And why add a hitter?
Well, he does make their lineup much better, but it's just finding a position on the field. I think that's what a lot of teams in this era do, is just, find a player that can fit this spot in our lineup, fit the needs of our offense, and then put him in this position.
They find a hole and they want to
fill your defense.
They find a hole and they want to fill it. So I guess it makes sense, but I mean, it's a good deal overall. No team's like the clear winner. No team's the clear loser of this trade. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Our next story is the D-backs signing Yoan Lopez for, what was it? They
for 8.25 million.
Right. Well, that's just the signing bonus.
Yeah.
That's not his actual deal. That's the new record signing bonus.
That's the international bonus, the international signing fee.
That too.
All right.
All these. So I think the bigger story is not so much just with Lopez, but with the Diamondbacks working around the globe to get their team back to where they want it. Which is a different approach.
Wait, guys, I think about the contract. According to Roto World and Baseball America, it's an amateur deal for $8.25 million. So think about how Jorge Soler or a lot of those other guys get signed to deals in the $6 million range for a certain amount of years. That's what it is. So it's basically a minor league free agent contract of $8.25 million.
Yeah, so this player must be pretty freaking good.
Oh yeah.
He's a right-handed pitcher, isn't he?
Yeah. Okay. So about this guy, I don't know too much about him. He's 21, I believe. He apparently he became good. He became noticed when he was doing really good in the 16U and 18U leagues, and then people just started watching him. I don't know what to expect from any of these guys. Tomas, I don't know what to expect from Lopez. I don't know. And the other guy they signed, I forget what his name is. I don't know what to expect from these guys, but every person's come out of Cuba and they've been great. So I'm
thinking of Tomas. Sorry, Tomas.
Yeah, he mentioned it.
Yeah, they've been great. So I have high hopes for all these guys that are coming out. He had before defecting from Cuba, he had a 3.12 ERA in a Cuban league, and I think he can if he can translate that over to Major League Baseball. I think he can be a pretty decent pitcher. I don't know if especially because he's 21, he can mature and get better as well as he can just mature and get better. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm expecting good because of everyone that's come out of that, the international being great. Jose Abreu and Cespedes. I'm expecting good.
I think what we can see from this is it's very low risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Type of deal. So.
Well, I mean, that money is not low risk, but.
Well, relatively speaking, it kind of is.
Yeah, but it's still
Instead of going out and signing,
On
a starting pitcher.
On market value, that's a pretty low risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than
I don't think
going after Shields or Scherzer.
It's not a 1-year deal, as far as I can tell.
No.
He's a mid-90s fastball, a 3.12 ERA, 28-11 strikeouts to ball ratio, or 49 innings in his final year in Cuba's Serie A Nacional.
That's what I read.
I'm not really that impressed by that, because, to be honest, Cuba's league is nowhere in comparison to the major leagues. I would say it probably ranks somewhere between maybe AAA, AA, in my opinion, since we just see the best guys go to the major leagues, and I always think that pool, is gonna be dried up pretty soon, because there's only so many great, Cuban players who can be developed and leave to, play America. So I'd say there may be AAA, about in building. So I would say he's probably a solid prospect, and I would expect him to be maybe a third or fourth type pitcher. And I think it was a smart move to get another Cuban pitcher to come in with Yasmani Tomas. I think that's a good locker room clubhouse type thing, even if Lopez doesn't start in the major leagues. I think that's Kupel is a good organizational point, and I'm definitely liking the Diamondbacks' new front office a lot better than that Kevin Towers debacle disaster. But
yeah,
it's definitely going to be not good for a while.
Mm-hmm. To add on to what the baseline is for these Cuban prospects, it's not so much about their performance against other players in that league. It's more about, what kind of stuff they have, and it's more about potential rather than, actual minor league developed players.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even with his ERA that I read, the 3.12 and I mean, right now, at 21 years old, I agree, Rudy. I'm not impressed with that, especially because of the level of Cuba league is so much lower than the MLB. But I think the potential should be, I don't think the Diamondbacks would just go out and sign some random kid. I think they definitely see like a potential in the 21-year-old.
That's a good point. He is really young to have those numbers. So they're not quite as bad as I'm making. No, they're better than I'm making them out to be. That's a good point.
All right. So moving on to some Major League Baseball happenings is with the A's and the Nationals dealing Tyler Clippard for Yunel Escobar.
I don't understand what Billy Beane is trying to do.
Thank you.
I am so confused. He gets a good middle infield, and then he trades him off. I really do not get what they're trying to do. At all. And, what was I trying to say? I'm not gonna speak that much more about this topic because I just don't understand it on the A's standpoint. I mean, I understand it because they're getting a great pitcher, but why would you trade a solid shortstop that you got? Now who's gonna play short for them? Lowry? Is Lowry still on that team?
No.
Yeah,
Lowry's on the Astros, never mind. But one last thing I'm gonna say about this trade. Possible trade option. Instead of trading, Desmond, I've heard about things about Desmond to the Mets or stuff like that. But what about, don't you think the Yankees or the Mets could use an Escobar? He's been traded twice, why not 3 times?
The Yankees, I would not take Escobar I'm sure we will agree with me, Alex,
yes,
for both Yankees fans, he's not really any better than Didi Gregorius, in my opinion. And, we've already made so many weird trades this offseason that I don't think we really have anything else to even trade that, I wouldn't regret giving up. But, I mean, I wouldn't be totally against that. Wouldn't like insult me if we gone for like some minor leaguer that I won't miss, but I don't know if that really moves the needle for anyway in the Yankees, since he's basically a slightly better Didi Gregorius. But if I may, could I talk about, how about you still do anything more to say, or could I add in my thought on the trade?
You go.
Alright, I agree 100% with you with the Diamondbacks. I actually really like Tyler Clippard as a pitcher.
Diamondbacks?
Oh, sorry, for the A's. Good catch. I do think, I understand the point that they're trying to shore up their bullpen. I think they had lost Luke Gregerson,
Yeah.
who's really good. So I kind of get that, but I agree 100% that losing Yunel Escobar, who is their only shortstop who has any business starting in the major leagues. Honestly, I think Marcus Semien is a major league caliber shortstop.
And
That
they lost
makes no
Addison
sense.
Russell too. They lost.
Yeah. And then I don't get it. I even get it left. But to be fair to Billy Bean, I mean, he's clearly in his own level of mastery that we will never understand, or I mean, he's sometimes so impossible to comprehend. So I'll give him maybe the benefit of the doubt, but I really hate this offseason for them. I actually like it just as poorly for the Nationals, because why not just re-sign Asdrubal Cabrera, who just got signed to the deal with the Rays?
That was literally what I was about
Who's
to add.
making, I think their contracts are for the same, I think it's like $7 million each. So why not just re-sign him, and then you can keep Tyler Clippard, who's a free agent, he's gonna make a lot of arbitration, probably $13 million, but
I think it was Clippers making $9 million.
$9 million. So that's a ton that is actually a lot of money for a relief pitcher, but this team is only going to be together probably for one more year, as we talked about in our last podcast.
Yeah.
So you need to go all in now. This is your year.
Can I add one thing about?
This is not an all-in year. This is not an all-in move. This is a treading water move. That's
Exactly.
only saving $2 million.
Can I add one thing about this team?
Yeah.
This trade. I guess there's some things that I would understand why the A's would do it, and some reasons I would understand why the Nationals would do it. But like for the A's, what's his name? Doolittle was hurt for a couple of weeks last year, and maybe with Clippard there, he like completely shores up, like he clears up, and he has the definite eighth inning spot. And whenever like Doolittle goes 2 or 3 days in a row, they have Clippard there. He's like a backup, and he's safe. He's a safety option just in case Doolittle has time.
I'm almost positive he's a free agent at the end of this year.
Who, Clippard?
I believe so. So
I would not be surprised.
he is soon. So what? You're not acquiring a guy who's you're gonna have for a long time. I mean, why? I'm sorry, but
No. Earliest free agent is 2016. So yeah, he is. He's a free agent this year.
I can't comprehend that.
No, he's a free agent 2 years.
They just got worse. That's that simple. They didn't save any money because of the Butler deal for this season, and they got worse. So I'm sorry, I don't agree with you, Billy Bean. Tell me.
Well, the only reason I kind of am okay with this trade is because they basically, I'm pretty sure they just got Yunel Escobar for this purpose. I'm sure there was some kind of understanding that the Nationals were
what? Okay, if that's true, why didn't Yunel Escobar go straight to the Nationals in a three-way deal between the Nationals?
Because the A's wanted Tyler Clippard, which I agree with. He's very good addition for that bullpen, because it's looking pretty barren right now.
It doesn't make sense to add one thing and lose another. Then you're just back to where you were before.
No, they're back to where they were before, plus a relief pitcher.
They still have no shortstop.
They have Marcus Semien, who, in my opinion, can probably be a Yunel Escobar caliber player, which is not very hard to do. It's not very hard to do that.
His main position, shortstop is like his third position. He's never brought up.
Okay, maybe not defensively.
Shortstop.
Probably not defensively, but I'm not sure what the A's are going to be able to pull out of their ass for shortstop. So I'm not gonna.
It's baffling. It is.
I've never expected them to fall on Yunel Escobar as their number one option. So I'm not too disappointed by that. And I kind of have a feeling that they're not done yet either with their trades.
Oh, they're never done with their trades.
Right. As for the Nationals, I would say I disagree with you about this being a sign of a tear-down year after
No,
this one last
No.
Oh, no. I was
Treading water deals,
treading
not,
water.
yeah.
Okay, like, a lot of people think that by signing Yunel Escobar, they're basically saying they're going to trade Ian Desmond, which I disagree with. I think they're going to do everything in their power to extend Ian Desmond. If anything, they're going to let go of either Gio or Zimmerman in a trade.
I agree, but and I'm not saying that I never. I'm sorry, that was how I was inferring. But what I was just trying to say was that, I mean, the way I view this is kind of just like, I just try to view things in the sense of what this is going to mean for their next season ability. And like the A's, they didn't get better by signing, but I don't think Juice Doran is going to be their only, in my opinion, like, elite to a well above average, relief pitcher. So why trade Clippard? They already let Soriano go in free agency. So, I mean, you're just making a team that, is probably in their last year to win the World Series, in my opinion, for the near future, or is in their best situation for the near future to win the World Series. You're just kind of letting it tread water instead of kind of making those final additions to go all in. I mean, they should be putting their chips all in, not trading 1 for 1.
Yeah, I can understand that mindset, that, and especially in this culture of baseball, it's a lot of building until you can reach that one point where you can make that push at a World Series title, because there's so much more competition than there used to be. You can't just like stack your team up and then expect to breeze on by. You have to stack your team up to give yourself a chance at this point, because you got your Royals out there that can shock the world with their super low payroll. So it's very different environment in that regard.
Oh yeah, it is. The game's different now.
Okay. So let's go ahead and move it on back to the National League. Or I guess we kind of were in the National League with the Nationals.
Yeah.
But let's go across the coast and talk about Nori Aoki signing with the Giants for a 1-year deal.
This deal was, Giants signed him $4.7 million for 1 year. He's
Steal.
what?
Yeah.
Steal.
He's a guy that doesn't strike out much. He's a speedy outfielder. He gets on base. But and they're gonna play him in left, and with Pagan in center and Pence in right. One thing I don't get, I mean, I understand that Pence is a great player, but he's not that outfield in right. I think I'd rather have Aoki play that wall than Pence. I'd rather have Aoki play that wall.
That's a very unique field. I think at this point they're wanting to play it safe with Pence because, it's not his first year on the Giants.
Yeah.
I think that's a very reasonable transition for Aoki. He's one of the best defensive outfielders out there, and that, I gotta say, the Giants outfield right now is looking pretty sexy, especially with that Gregor Blanco backup outfielder, which I personally think he's good enough to start in left field from what I saw with him replacing Angel Pagan last season. So, the Giants are still in this conversation for having a pretty good lineup.
The Giants have all the tools.
I'm not sure Gregor is a starting caliber outfielder. I mean, his offensive numbers are kind of pitiful in my opinion, but I think he's solid fourth. I really like it for the Giants. Excellent. How he got that little money, I really have no idea. I'm at like a loss of words. Like, I know he's not like, Mike Trout, but he had 285 last year and played great defense. I mean, how that doesn't equal $10 million in this league's market where everyone gets overpaid is shocking. I mean, I know he's 33, but I'm surprised he only got a 1-year deal too. He's pretty good in the playoffs. It's pretty shocking. And then Who's their third baseman though? Just a quick. I mean,
Chase Headley. I mean, not Chase Headley. Casey McGee.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually like their offseason decently then.
They're always there in terms of their lineup. They
McGee
always find a way to stay
Pablo
afloat.
Sandoval, honestly, and probably like 90% is Pablo Sandoval. If he repeats last year's success, which could be never impossible, but
I feel like the Giants, like, are not like 10 years like the Spurs in basketball have done it, but they've always managed to be there. Like, to have the tools. They haven't really torn their team apart, but they've been like great for the past, not great, but they've been good, you know?
We all know that in even years, they're win the World Series.
Yeah, exactly. We're expecting them back in 2016.
We'll be all looking back when they're 90 to see them win their 50th straight, even year World Series.
Well, one thing that I'm wondering is that, how do the Royals fans feel about Aoki, leaving to the, team that beat them in the World Series?
Yeah, no big deal.
Baseball isn't really, I think, as personal with the players as maybe like basketball, in my opinion.
Unless he's like your favorite player, like.
It's not like he left the Red Sox for the Yankees or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also not like Eric Hosmer left their team the year after they lost.
Yeah.
He's a corner outfielder that.
He was only on their team for 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, true, never mind. But, I mean, he played really good for them. He's, like I said, he's a guy that rarely strikes out. He doesn't miss the ball. Either way, with that speed, he's always on base too. Like a little roller, short roller, he's on base. He's very valuable.
He is. I think, so Alex, do you have anything else to add maybe? If not, maybe we could talk about that last top story.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to that. I mean, Nori Aoki, I love him, but he's not super interesting to talk about. We basically covered defense, speed, hits decent average, got him for a steal. So, the last top story that we have here today is regarding Jung Ho Kang.
So many international deals. Oh my god.
I just want to say, his stats in the Korean League are fucking, I'm sorry, but they're fucking insane. Can I just read them off quickly?
There's 356.
Really quick, I forgot to mention that it was the Pirates that landed this guy.
356, 40 homers, 117 RBIs in 117 games. But you have to notice, how good is the Korean League? Is it like high A ball, low double? Is it high A ball or double A ball?
I don't care if he plays in Little League stadiums. He at least should be decent in the major leagues of that stats. Yeah. I agree 100%. I mean, I don't even care if he's awful. This guy is maybe the best Korean player. He's essentially the Korean Mike Trout of shortstops.
Yeah.
The Korean Mike Trout of shortstops.
I mean, like,
can relate everybody to Mike Trout, I guess.
Right now, Desmond's the guy we were just talking about. Desmond is probably the best, like, one of the best power hitting shortstops right now in the league. And now if you add him, I don't know, if he does what his stats say he can do.
Kang was essentially Tulowitzki in Korea.
Yeah.
So, assuming, like you said, it's probably equivalent to maybe Double A, because there's only two other Korean major leaguers, I think. It's Chu and Ryu on the Dodgers, Chu on the Rangers.
He signed a 4-year, $11 million deal.
Which is, I think, a steal for any major caliber player.
Especially if he plays to that potential.
One problem, I think, is that we haven't seen any success really in players from Asia who played middle infield having major league success.
Tsuyoshi Kawasaki, or what a Tsuyoshi Munenori.
He has no business starting. He really shouldn't be starting for the Blue Jays.
That's
Munenori Kawasaki.
He wasn't supposed to be. It was just due to injuries and stuff. That's what ended up happening.
There was that guy on the Athletics who never got above Double A or something.
What about the Twins guy that kept getting hurt?
Yeah, and then there was another one on the Rays. I mean, this is how memorable they were. No one can think of their names.
Exactly.
I think the guy on the A's was memorable because he said he signed with the A's because he thought Billy Bean was sexy or something.
What?
The only
Missed
reason
this one.
the only reason I know Munenori Kawasaki is because I watch his interviews and they're just
Yep.
gold.
Munenori Kawasaki's he's a celebrity. He's not an athlete.
He's great dance moves.
Oh yeah.
And I guess on a quick Blue Jay tangent, apparently they're looking at signing James Shields.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So
that's surprising, but not
maybe
surprising.
Talk about that more in another day when the Blue Jays are
Well, I believe we're gonna go ahead and revisit some of the free agents that are still out there.
Oh yeah, so we can
later
talk
on.
about then. Good.
So yeah.
Perfect.
So for right now, anything else?
We all like that for the Pirates. I mean, he has to be better than Jody Mercer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jordy Mercer's pretty solid.
He's solid, but then the guy they could be getting.
It's all, you know.
Jody Mercer is one horrible hitter.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. Low risk, high reward.
This isn't like a great comparison. You have to think about it. It's like, the guy Yoan Lopez, the guy that just signed with the Diamondbacks.
Yes, we know him.
He's
talked about him.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the potential he can bring you is great. Just like this guy, the potential he has. If he gets to that, it's great. But so the potential is better than what Mercer is right now, but Mercer is going to be there until this guy Jung Ho Kang gets to that point or gets to the major league level.
All right then. So that's going to do it for our top stories. We're going to go ahead and dive into a new segment for top 5 players at each position right now, starting with starting pitchers. For the most part, we're going to be taking into account their performance from last season, projecting what they're probably able to do this season, and just, in general, where they are as a player, as a complete player. Probably most players are going to be in their prime, not going to be making too many bold predictions. So.
Yeah. Should I say my top 5 right now, or are we going to go all 5 and then all 4?
Go ahead and give us your top 5 right now.
My number 5, John Lester. Number 4, Chris Sale. 3, Johnny Cueto. 2, King Felix, and 1, Kershaw. So, I picked Lester because even he's a great pitcher. Watching him, he's just the command he has and the presence he has for the playoffs. It's amazing. Chris Sale, he's downright nasty. He's just nasty, especially against left-handed hitters. We talked about him last week. Johnny Cueto, a lot of people don't notice because of the great year Kershaw had last year. A lot of people don't notice the great year Cueto had last year. He went 20-9 with like a 2.25 ERA. And his whip was just amazing.
Yeah, he's arguably still better than any American League pitcher out there. So arguably,
you could make the argument.
Over the past 3 years,
you can make the argument.
He's up there.
Like, okay, and then my number 2, King Felix, just by the pleasure that I have having the Angels play the Mariners 19 times a year. He plays in at least like 4 or 5 of those, and oh god, we get either shelled. I mean, we either shell him, but a lot of times he's just nasty. I watched him play live. He's amazing. Like every pitch he has is great if you watch him live. And then Kershaw, you can't go wrong with Kershaw, except the fact that the playoffs. I don't really care about his performance in the playoffs. You could take that into consideration, but I don't think there'd be any if I had to pick a game that I wanted someone to pitch in, if this game was like for my life, I'd start Kershaw.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Rudy?
I'm gonna go with my number 5 is gonna be Corey Kluber. He was second in the league in FIP and second in the league in strikeouts and the Cy Young. That convinces, to be fair, he's number 5 because that was his first year of dominance, and he isn't,
that's why he's not on my list.
It's not using greatness to be on my top 5, but that 1 year is so good that with an horrendous team defense that I'm really impressed by that. He also was ranked 4th in innings. So I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Chris Sale. He was injured early last year. But he's still ranked top 4 in FIP. He was still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He was still 10th in MLB strikeouts, and I don't think he started pitching until May. I could be wrong.
No, he pitched earlier and then he got hurt, and then he came back.
He started the season.
He missed like a month, right?
He missed 2.5 weeks, I think.
That's it?
2 to 3 weeks. I remember because one of my friends had him on his fantasy team.
So he still missed at least 2 starts and ranked 10th in strike. Okay. Whatever. I'm really a huge fan of his game, and he should only get better. 3rd, I'm gonna go with David Price. I've actually not really been impressed with him the past year. And by basic stats, he looks to be declining by like the commonly held, ERA and wins. And that's a completely fair argument. And, I cannot argue with that. But he's ranked 1st in innings pitched last year, and he still had strikeouts, as well as he was in the top 8 of FIP with a also pretty bad defensive team for about half the season, and and he was also hurt. Had some nagging injuries last year. I think people are kind of sleeping on him. 2, I would have to say. Now, are we doing this I have a quick quarrel. Is this like who you want to pitch like for your life, or who do you think next season you would rank in your top 5? Who would you?
Mix.
You want to take into account their performance from last year. That's what I want to throw out a little example there. Masahiro Tanaka had an amazing part of a season, but just considering his health and his injury, how much time he missed, I probably wouldn't throw him up there just based on the foresight for next year.
Stuff-wise, I'd put him top 5, but
this is
but we're not just going.
But like top pitcher, no, I wouldn't put him top 5.
This is kind of explain my problem with, because like Bumgarner really was arguably, you could by certain like metrics, strikeouts, and FIP, you could leave him off the top 10 of best pitchers, but his playoffs are so dominant. So that was my question.
I mean,
but I'll just make my own judgment, because that's part of the fun. So I'm gonna go with Felix number 2, because I think for the past 6 years he's been he's just been insanely dominant. And I know he's usually never the best in any one category, but he's just so consistent.
He's like top 5 in every category.
Yeah, but he's not number 1, is what I said. Like, right. You can't like name like one thing and say Felix is the best at that necessarily, but he's just, that's my point. Like, he's just so all around, he's so well-roundedly incredible, and it's just a blessing to watch. And then I have to go Bumgarner. I have to go Kershaw. Sorry, one of like you for about. I think we all can. I don't think that needs much
explanation.
I just want to say one guy who doesn't get a lot of love, who I wouldn't put in my top 5, but people kind of don't really talk about him too much, is Adam Wainwright.
Oh no, yeah, he's probably like my top number 6 or whatever, because
he's in that, he's like I feel like slightly less dominant Felix in that consistency for so long. Sorry, so your turn, Alex.
Rudy, I gotta say, you're killing me right now. I had both Wainwright and Price in my list, and I thought those were super sleepers.
Sorry.
And you're just completely like,
I apologize.
Lowered my standard there, but
Yui.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Great minds think alike. Great minds think
Yui.
Yes, that's true.
Alex, before
Yeah.
you talk, I'm just gonna say, Rudy, you and I had about 3 of the 5 right. I agree that Kluber is a great pitcher, but because of, I mean, even though he was great in that 1 year, I don't think he should necessarily be suddenly top 5, even with 1 year.
I mean, he did.
I have no
the
problem
Cy
with that.
Young.
He won the Cy Young.
And with your price, he's a great pitcher, but I've been disappointed with what he's done. Like,
I 100% understand. I agree. Most of his season did feel disappointing. I don't deny. I really wasn't sure about making that pick, but his pick, which I am a huge Homer fan for, I love Pip. It could be, for all I know, it can be complete bullshit, but I just love Pip and he's amazing in innings pitch, what I think is really important and underrated, strikeouts and Pip. So that's just my defense. But I don't blame you for disagreeing.
The thing about Price's last year, there were like times where he did great, and then times where he just like
True.
he did awful. I had him on my fantasy team. He lost me. There were some games where he lost me like 20 points. Some games where he got me like 30 points. You know, so he wasn't consistent necessarily. He was more consistent when he went on the Tigers, but
I think
it's a very fantasy baseball approach. That's not.
No. I'm not necessarily taking a fantasy baseball approach. I'm taking it by his stats too, like by how he performed, by that. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't consistent. There were some games where he just gave up so many hits, runs, that stuff. Especially when he was early on with the Rays this year, and then he.
I remember that terrible game against the Yankees. He gave up the most hits in a row ever against the Yankees once.
Yeah, I remember that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say my list before there's any more interjections here.
Yeah.
So number 5, I've got Adam Wainwright. He was just like
I love him.
Full on, like definitely
Wainwright.
Cy Young contender with Clayton Kershaw. By the way, did
When
we actually get
not
your
a Cy Young contender?
Did we actually get your number 1 Clayton Kershaw in there, or did we just kind of assume that was what?
No, we all said that.
You did say it. Okay.
I think that's like even with his playoffs. I mean, you have to say it.
Yeah, I agree. But Wainwright definitely up there. Number 4, I did have David Price just because of the more underrated categories like strikeouts and innings pitched.
So you agree?
I do agree. Like wholeheartedly. It seemed like a very disappointing season for fans for some reason, just because there were those games where you kind of like scratched your head and you're like, what happened to David Price?
Agreed.
But you still, especially like from like the last half of the season on, he was back to his prime.
Yeah.
Arguably. Some of the best games he's ever thrown. And, you know,
It's control.
when you can lead the league in strikeouts with guys like Sale and Kluber and King Felix out there, you know, you're doing something right.
In the American League.
Right, exactly. And my number 3 is King Felix. Again, one of the most dominant pitchers. I did leave Kluber off this list, even though he did win the Cy Young over King Felix with comparable stats, just because of the track record. For that reason, I don't feel like I've seen enough of Kluber yet.
That's
why
I left him off
with
mine.
what I did see. Yeah, I understand your reasoning there, but I don't blame Rudy for.
Oh no, I don't either. He's a great pitcher.
I agree with you guys. I just like
when there's so many good pitchers out there, I feel like I have to give the ones that have been like great year in year out.
I agree with you.
Higher
Alex.
spots on my list for it now. Number 2, I've got Johnny Cueto up there. As I said before, arguably better than most American League pitchers. But yeah, he's also been one of the best pitchers the past 4 years, right behind Kershaw. And it's more about the ERA with him that's just unbelievable.
The whip? Wait, no, not the whip. Actually, the whip.
Darn good too. Like, just nothing happens against him. Like, he's not a guy that'll strike out, you know, as many guys with like nasty sliders and stuff like Chris Sale, but he's still a very impressive pitcher in all regards. Like, he'll strike out some batters too. He's pretty nasty.
He's still on 200.
You don't think about him as one of the nastiest pitchers in the game.
He probably would be he would have had a way easier job getting the Cy Young if he was in the American League with the season he had last year.
I agree.
Well, easier time.
Easier because Kershaw had just a crazy year.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't think he's in that same. I don't find him quite as dominant.
Oh no, it's because he's not the hard thrower. He's not the flashy guy, but he's still like
He throws mid-90s still.
No,
when he needs to.
I know. When
People don't realize
he has that great change of his. He has a lot of great secondary pitchers.
His FIP was a lot higher. It was higher than his year. His
his FIP was higher.
A run higher than his ERA, just to be.
Okay, but I think when you're as consistent as that with an ERA right around 2, then
explain to me this. What puts him ahead of Felix, in your opinion?
See, that's a tough one. That's just, like, Felix is right with him at number 3. Like, when I say arguably the best pitcher in the AL, the person that's right there with him is King Felix. So, they're very similar pitchers. They get lots of strikeouts, even though they don't,
overpower you.
Right. They use a lot of their secondary pitches to get you out. In that, I don't know, there's just about Cueto, like, the consistency in the.
Do you trust him?
I trust.
There's no reason I wouldn't.
I don't know if that's the right word.
No,
even.
Okay, here, I'll read you something. In 2012, the year he was 4th in the Cy Young, he went 19-9 with a 2.78 ERA, right? 2013, last year, not the year. Okay, whatever. 2013, he was hurt. He pitched in 11 games. He went 5-2. So he had a 2.82 ERA, but he was hurt that year. And then having another full year this year, he made the most starts he's ever made in his career. He threw the most innings he's ever thrown, and he went 29 with a 2.25 ERA, second Cy Young. I would take that. He's great.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't.
It's a really difficult discussion. It's really hard. It's an era of great pitchers.
He's kind of. Okay, don't yell at me when I'm giving you this comparison, but Adam Wainwright. He's not the flashy guy. He's not the but he's not like the top guy.
He's one of the most professional pitchers in baseball.
They're professional. They make every start. They know how to do it. They know how to start. They're top starting pitchers. They're not the ones that would throw 99, 100, but they're not necessarily the pitchers that would they're not eye openers,
Yeah.
But they're there.
To acknowledge what I was trying to say earlier about Cueto versus Felix is that I don't know if I trust him more. I trust both of them pretty equally. For some reason, I feel like Cueto's stuff is just a tiny bit better in my ranking system than Felix Hernandez. It's a different.
They're both
very
nasty.
different type of pitcher.
They're both nasty.
Like that.
Cueto is.
Just when I watch him pitch, I feel like he's unhittable at times.
They both have
Felix, but
both have that
in very different ways.
But both Felix and Cueto have that turn like the Louis Tiant.
Yeah, they're very similar pitchers in terms of their motion, which is another reason they're very comparable. I didn't really think about that.
So is your one,
And number 1, Clayton Kershaw. Let's move on.
Wait, Sparbo, did you put Bumgarner in your list?
No.
So none of us put can you just name,
No, because
this is a different list. This isn't, we're doing top pitchers. We're not doing top MLB pitchers.
No.
We're not doing top postseason pitchers.
No, but it's interesting. I just think, could you just name who was your top 5 one more time?
He didn't have a great.
My top 5 is, Lester, Sale, Cueto, Hernandez, and, Kershaw.
Lester had a better regular season than Bumgarner.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you guys. That was my logic too. But I just think it's just fascinating that this guy won the World Series. I would say he
Single-handedly, almost.
essentially almost single-handedly, and it's interesting. And that's just a testament of how baseball is, that you kind of value the whole season over a month. It's interesting. I just think it's interesting.
But that's
And Kershaw
like
pitched a horrible postseason, and we all put him first.
Yeah, but that's part of the reason teams sign guys like Lester, because they have pretty damn good regular season.
Shields wasn't very good in the playoffs.
Yeah, Shields was awful.
He's gonna get paid probably $100 million.
I think it's gonna be a little less than that. Maybe the 90s range.
He's gonna get paid bucks.
Yeah, but the thing about Shields is that his nickname is Big Game James. He didn't go past like the 7th inning.
Yeah, we like to not think about that as much. Let that slide with him. He's still top free agent. That's why I feel like everybody's saying, like,
I think he's declining.
Big Game James, even though he's pretty much
He should be declining. He's 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as we're talking about this, Big Game
really
James,
quick, actually.
Okay.
Any other underrated sleeper
Pitchers
that you wanted to throw their names out there?
I don't really talk about Strasburg that much.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the stuff, and the strikeouts are definitely there. He's at the top of that list almost.
I mean, CRAs, I think still probably has to get under 3.
Yeah.
And Zach Greinke too is in that club. He won a Cy Young at one point. Cole Hamels. It's really an age of great pitchers.
One thing I find really interesting is that we did not put the guy that's supposed to earn around $200 million in the offseason this year, Max Scherzer.
Because guess what?
What?
He never. I guess you could argue why did I put Kluber on my list if I put Scherzer? But like, the dude relies only on power stuff, and that's a huge part of his game. Maybe not only.
No, he has that great changeup.
He relies a ton on his fastball. Would that be an accurate statement? What do you guys say?
Sure.
And he's 30, and we just saw a guy on his team who relied a ton on his fastball, who once they got on over 30 collapsed, and his name is Justin Verlander.
He still got Kate Upton. He's okay.
he's doing alright.
He's not crying, but like.
And he has that big paycheck.
That Scherzer ranked in the top 10, even. I think that you can find. I can see. I could be wrong, but I don't see any that he was top 10.
Yeah.
So, okay, he was 3rd in strikeouts.
If we were going top 10, there are so many guys you could put in there. You could put Darvish in there. You could put Hamels, Jordan Zimmerman, Strasburg. There's so many guys you could put in, like, the top 10.
Also took a really, really long time to like reach this point. I mean, he has 2 seasons with ERAs over 4.
Yeah.
What about the sleeper?
He's only had 2 dominant seasons. I guess that's
the last 2 seasons. Yeah.
I just named Kluber. I admit that is contradictory for me, but
right.
What about a sleeper pick? I'm not saying he's one of the top like 5, obviously, but it's a sleeper pick. King Felix's teammate Hisashi Iwakuma. The stuff.
Nah.
The stuff he has.
He's super Hiroki Kuroda.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to pick up on at first. I feel like he's gonna be hit more than he had in the past. You know, he had that one season where he was up for the Cy Young discussion.
He was third in the Cy Young.
Stats. He's just not that level of pitcher at this point.
Yeah, he had a mid-3 ERA last year, so I see.
Also, National League pitchers, look out for Jose Fernandez this year. He's gonna steal all your titles.
He ruined my fantasy team last year.
He did. He ruined mine as well. I owned him. He's my 2nd overall pick.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
He ruined my fantasy.
Phil Hughes quietly had a great year last year.
Yeah, he did.
For him,
hilarious.
You know,
as a Yankees fan, I find that hilarious.
Yeah, it's like a slap in the face.
It's a big F-U.
Hey, as an Angels fan, I've gone through the Angel curse, how great guys come on the team, they do terrible, and then they leave the team, and then they do great again. That's the Angel curse.
Yeah, they all go to the Royals.
Yeah. So,
all right,
I know
let's go ahead and check in on our free agents that are still floating around out there, namely James Shields and Max Scherzer, along with a few closers that are still out there, and Soriano, Rodriguez, and Keith Jensen from the Blue Jays.
Alright. So, my top free agents. Obviously, there's like the Max Scherzer, there's the James Shields. Well, actually, before I get to that, what do you guys think that just name and give me a number. What do you think that Shields and Scherzer are going to sign for?
Rudy, go ahead and go first.
What would I sign them for? What will they get signed for?
Both.
What will they? What do you predict they will? Not what they deserve.
Yeah, because they always get overpaid.
Shields is probably gonna get.
I say mid-90s.
5 years. 96, I want to say. Let me see what 96 divided by 5 is, because math. Oops, wait.
It's just a prediction.
It's 19.
I know. Yeah, 96 divided by 5. I can see. I know it sounds like an great overpay, but he's a good pitcher in a weird, really overpaid market. If Lester got 155, I know he's better than Scherzer. I'm better than Shields, sorry, but if that's his deal, I don't think 596 is unreasonable for Shields. Scherzer, calling it 6 years, 170.
Alright, so mine, I'm gonna go ahead and give Shields a 5-year, 100 million rounded out there. And,
I'm giving him 90.
You're giving him 90. So we're in the same ballpark.
Area. It's all the same. It's the same, basically.
Yeah. And, Scherzer, I agree with you. I actually think he might even squeeze in a 7th year, but I think he'll end up getting 6 years.
Shields is definitely not going anywhere.
I don't have any reason for it. It's just my own personal prejudice. There's something about Scherzer I don't trust. I don't trust. There's
that one thing.
He didn't start really getting really good till he was like 28.
Well, cause he added a 4th pitch.
Yeah.
He added a curveball, which helped him immensely.
I mean, it's just.
A lot of people don't really realize that. He used to be a very fastball slider type pitcher. And then he polished his changeup, added a curveball, and then that's all it took.
Yeah, okay.
So, I understand what you're saying though.
Instead of the top 2 free agents that we could talk so much about, but I feel like we've talked a lot about them. But there's like some guys that I think are maybe a little more intriguing to talk about now because of the amount we've talked about Scherzer, the amount we've talked about Shields. Like maybe K-Rod. K-Rod's a free agent. Where do you think he's gonna go? Casey Janssen, closer,
He wasn't very good last year.
No, he wasn't, but
he was injured a lot too.
Yeah, he was injured a lot.
Colby Rasmus, I think he should be signed by the Orioles.
Oh yes, the Orioles have to go. They just lost their chance on Aoki. I don't know. Okay, they're not our team. Oh, they are our team of the week. Let's talk about this.
we can talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Rafael Soriano, I think would be a great addition by any team. As long as he's really not a closer.
What about a guy like Giovanni Soto to be like your backup guy or
excellent
backup catcher?
Cal Kedrick, solid 5th pitcher. If I was the Yankees, I would take a risk on Chad Billingsley for a non-guaranteed deal.
Yeah, possibly. Also, Sergio Romo. What happened with him?
Sergio Romo, he signed with the Giants.
Did he? Okay. I missed that.
What do you guys think of, Ricky Weeks?
He's,
minor league deal.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But he's so good against, used as a platoon guy.
Yeah, still minor league deal, in my opinion.
He used to be.
Second baseman isn't really a position that I like to platoon. Middle infield spots I don't believe should be platooned.
That's what the Angels are doing.
I don't believe that's what they should do.
Yeah.
What about Ichiro?
Ichiro, I really want him to just sign with
the Mariners
just so he can be part of that, but I don't think that's going to be.
The Marlins are interested too.
I actually, when I was reading that the Marlins had interest in him, I got halfway through the article before I realized, wait a minute, this is not talking about the Mariners. I just, my brain made that connection right away. That it's kind of sad that nobody's probably going to end up taking Ichiro and he's going to be playing in Japan.
Two
or retiring.
2 guys that just fell off the face of the earth after being dominant at one point, or Joel Hanrahan and Andrew Bailey?
Yeah, I mean, again, minor league deals.
But
It's because of injuries. It's because of injuries.
Yeah.
it is because of injuries. But
Bailey got Tommy John. He fell off the face of the earth. Hanrahan, I think he had a similar problem. I forget what it was. They've just, I don't know. They used to be great players, but not now anymore.
Yeah. So, also, we didn't just, give us teams for each Shields and Scherzer where you predict they're gonna end up.
Okay, I'm not gonna predict where they're gonna end up, but I'm gonna tell you who should go for them. I'm gonna tell you.
I'm gonna do that too. That's almost impossible to see who they're gonna.
Yeah, because there's always that mystery team that no one knows.
Yeah, the ones lurking. Okay, go for it.
I mean, I know the Orioles, we're gonna talk about them in a little bit, but the Orioles, I doubt they're gonna go out and spend money for Scherzer, but maybe spend less for Shields. I think he could fit there. Because their starting rotation is just horrendous right now. And then Scherzer, I could see him teaming up with Wainwright on the Cardinals.
Yeah, I can see that too. Rudy?
I'm gonna go with, I agree 100% with you for both. And I think those also should be great options. I'm gonna go with two other teams though, just to, I'll spice things up. I'm gonna say Blue Jays for the Shields. The Blue Jays have, has been like reported they're interested. Blue Jays haven't made the playoffs for the longest, number of years at any team in professional North American sports. And I think if they do sign him, and they will be the best team in the AL East.
You could make that argument because the Orioles aren't anywhere near that because of their subtractions this year.
Exactly. I would say those two teams need to sign him if they want, and because if they don't, the Red Sox and the Yankees could be competing with them. They wouldn't be that much worse. They would not be quite as good as the Orioles, but I wouldn't be surprised if those two teams somehow made a leap onto that level, because the Orioles lost huge contributors in the offseason. And then for Scherzer, I'm gonna say Scherzer's interesting because he requires so much freaking money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's money out there to be
There is.
And there's a lot of interest too.
I'm gonna say.
Just
you want
say the Angels.
To get back to you in a minute or so.
I just don't know who's been looking at him, because I haven't heard anything. Do you guys have any?
It's a bunch of mystery teams right now.
I've only heard contradictory things about the Tigers. A brief.
I don't think they're getting him back after.
A briefing about the Cardinals being maybe interested, but the Cardinals almost never sign free agents for lots of money. So I don't even have an example out my head. So yeah. I don't have a clear
a clear thought right now. Okay, so with James Shields, I think that a team like the Diamondbacks could actually use him in terms of
I like that
just
sign.
Spend some money to get
together.
I mean, somebody's gonna spend money on
him. They'll be terrible for like at least 2 or 3 years.
I mean,
but James Shields is not a pitcher that you go after when you're really trying to go ahead and push for your World Series year. He's a pitcher you want to get to help build your team up.
He's a veteran leader.
Where it should be. Similar to what the Royals did in acquiring him.
The Royals put at the end of rebuild, but then when they did that, not at the beginning.
Then again, I don't think Shields would want to go to a team like that. So there's also that. Also, of course, the Orioles would be a very good fit for him. And also the Tigers have been looking into Shields too as an option instead of Scherzer. I think they're kind of...
That's a cheaper option too.
They're kind of straying farther and farther from Scherzer.
Sorry, Tigers?
Yeah.
Alright.
And Scherzer, I have a feeling he's going to end up with probably not the Cardinals, but either the possibly the Yankees.
Oh, yeah,
if it comes to that.
That's who I decided. That's who's gonna.
Yankees. I'm gonna narrow it down to Yankees, Red Sox, and possibly Dodgers.
No.
I don't see
You don't have a spot
Dodgers
for
being
him.
a very strong possibility. The Red Sox, they could use him, but I don't know if they're gonna think he's worth the money. So
I agree. I think to be.
we're not parts of these. We're not inside the heads of these front office
Don't you
Yeah.
think
people.
it
We
tells
don't know
you?
what their
Can I just
ideas
say one last thing about this, and then we can move on? Don't you think it's interesting that these two guys have stayed on the market this long? Shields, at least, I understand, because he's most likely only going to get worse from now on. He's 33, like, he's declining. Like, so I can understand.
I feel like he's waiting for Scherzer to get signed because after that, then like whatever team that needs a starting pitcher, it's going to be towards the end of the off season too. So there's going to be more interest and more demand.
Does it tell you a lot about Scherzer if no team has seriously engaged him as far as we know at this point? Does that tell you a lot about what the major league teams think of him? This guy's not Cy Young. He should have been the first guy signed by that logic. Because it's interesting. Would you guys disagree?
No,
Yeah.
it's just the uncertainty really.
Does that tell you a lot
dissuades
about his
a lot of
ability though? And but other teams think of how good he is if he's not gone by now. Like that doesn't speak highly of his pitching.
Rudy,
Right.
Rudy,
Yeah.
when you said if the Blue Jays sign Shields, they'll be the best team in the East.
Yeah.
I would agree with you because right now, even if they don't sign him, you know how not this year, but like 2 or 3 years ago, I'm gonna jump leagues. NBA, the Eastern Conference, they had the Heat, the Pacers, and the Bulls as their top 3 teams, and then every other team was either an okay team or under 500 that were in the playoffs, right? We might be seeing that in the American League East because they're just like okay teams now. They're not great teams. They're, as you say, meh. They're meh teams.
They're meh.
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 Anyway, Rudy needs a meme that says meh.
All right. We'll get on that.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and stay in the East here with our first team of the week, the Orioles. We're going to start with the third best overall record in baseball last year in 2014. So, as we've mentioned before, they're still a few moves away from being considered real contenders in that Eastern,
The thing about
they lost Cruz and that guy in blank.
Marquez.
And they haven't replaced them. And I understand that getting the Machado back from injury and Davis back from suspension.
But Machado, Jones, and Davis, that if they all play to what they're expected, that 3-4-5 or 2-3-4 is gonna be really good.
Machado has had 2 knee surgeries already.
Yeah.
Like how? Like I love him, and I think he is potentially great, but that's really hard to have the athleticism to play professional sport after 2 knee surgeries.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, and Chris Davis was awful last year, even before his suspension injuries. He might just never be as good as he was.
But again, so much potential still there.
Maybe he should take his steroids again.
Wait, how about you don't like? He took Adderall though, I think.
No.
He probably did take steroids too. So I wouldn't be surprised. Wait, you said you don't love Machado?
Not that. I love him as a player. I love him as a hitter. I love him as I love everything about him as a player. I didn't like the bat throwing and that stuff last year.
He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, that's what I don't like.
He might not be a dick, but last year he acted like a total dick.
We're all just praying that he doesn't get on the A-Rod track. So
I hate the pitching staff. And not to be fair, Gossman and that other really
Tillman. No. Tillman, Norris, Gonzalez, Gossman, and Wei and Chen.
They have another pitching prospect.
Dylan Bundy.
Dylan Bundy. I mean, if Gossman and Bundy turn out to be like at least number 2 caliber starters, in the near future they could be really good. But as their pitching staff currently is coming out of last season, I don't really like it that much. They have a lot of
Apparently
guys.
it was
They
good
have
enough last
all innings eaters. Where that doesn't get you anywhere in the playoffs, in my opinion.
It's just basically a bunch of Dan Herons, as you say, innings eaters. They're a bunch of Dan Herons, but better Dan Herons. Like,
There's just a bunch of freaking it's like the Red Sox staff too.
their strength right now is the back end of their bullpen with Mattis, Darren O'Day, Tommy Hunter, and Zach Britton.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, but like I said, they would have another great strength if Davis gets back to what he was. If Jones is continues to lead us.
A lot of
Weeder's coming back too.
Weeders gets back.
What he was.
Machado gets back, but there's a lot of ifs.
What do you mean Jones? What do you mean Jones coming back?
No, Jones continuing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
If I said if, that means they have so many question marks. If they don't go, like right now their starting left fielder is Diaza. He's a good player, but
he should be starting.
He's not Nelson Cruz. Their starting right fielder is David Lowe or whatever his first name is. And then Steven Pierce is gonna sometimes play there too. And
Steven Pierce can probably start, but he's a
I like him okay. He's a nice filler piece.
I think they need to sign Colby Rasmus, and Colby Rasmus isn't even that good. That's how poorly they've treated this offseason. Their owner's notoriously cheap, and I think it's crushing them. Because I think they kind of let this offseason blow by when they had potential to not even have to spend that much money, but kind of make those final steps to achieve how they couldn't have outmatched that deal for Aoki's.
How they couldn't have given $58 million for Nelson Cruz or whatever like that. Like he's probably he and Jones, because I don't know how Davis is gonna come back. I don't know how Machado is gonna come back or Weeders. If they kept at least if they kept at least Cruz, they would at least have something other than the bullpen to keep them like afloat, you know?
I don't think they're even better than the Orioles right now.
Right now they're not treading water. Right now they're tanking. They're
drowning. They're bringing on water.
Yeah, right now they're drowning.
Okay, drowning I think is a little bit strong. They're not going to be terrible. No, but
they're doggy paddling.
The water's entering the ship, and they're not getting it out.
They sprung a leak.
All
these water analogies, God.
They're 15th in payroll. I don't get why they couldn't have gone out and signed. Yeah, like you said,
you guys know they get part of the money from like the Nationals make on their TV deal like every year too, right?
Like,
because they share the market. So that was part of the deal for Nationals moving them, that they get some market sharing from the Nationals revenue. So they get revenue sharing from the Nationals on top of what they make.
Exactly. So if they're 15th in payroll and they get that money, why can't they go out and pay a Nelson Cruz the $58 million for 4 years?
It's frustrating.
And pay Aoki more than $4 million for 1 year. Then they'd be a great team again. But right now they're not treading water, like we said, with all those water analogies. They're going down at least.
Yeah. Also, nobody's brought up JJ Hardy, and that makes me sad because he's a really great player and
I love JJ.
An amazing person. Like
he's been brought.
There's nothing. He's like the model of consistency.
Last year they broke the streak.
I don't know. He's just like
he's
a leader.
Good.
He's a leader.
He wasn't very good last year, bro. He had a down year.
No,
he had a down year, but he's still a leader.
Last year he broke the streak because 2012 Jared Weaver pitching, he got robbed on a home run into center by Trout. 2013 Jared Weaver pitching, he got robbed off on a home run by Borges in center. So that's and they were both in Camden Yards too, so they were basically identical, except Trout's one was just amazing. But he broke that streak last year, and I was very disappointed. Weaver, that's all you remember JJ Hardy for. Is well, he didn't do anything last year, though. Actually, I do remember for him for one thing. He was this power hitting shortstop before, but then last year it took him such a long time to get that first homer. I remember after coming back from his injury or whatever he had, it took him a long time to come back from the come back and hit his first homer.
But he did come back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
he's not, he has, he's still definitely a leader of that club, solid defense, better hitting shortstop than pretty much 90% of other shortstops in baseball. Cause
Actually, he didn't hit a home run last year.
What?
He batted 268 with, actually no, he hit 9, sorry, I was looking at
What the
triples.
heck are you talking about?
I was looking at triples, my bad.
Okay,
So,
no triples for JJ Hardy. You heard it here.
he still won a Gold Glove though. So he's a good defender. Really,
he won the American League Gold Glove at shortstop this year.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
That actually surprises me.
In 141 games.
I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad defensive shortstop, but I never think of him as
No, he's pretty stinking
great.
good.
I never knew that.
Yeah. He makes very, very few errors. So, he's very Dustin Pedroia-ish in terms
That
of
shortstop.
Yeah.
And
so
MVP caliber in his prime.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move from a team that was third in baseball last year to one of the bottom teams in baseball, Minnesota Twins.
The Twins. What can you say about the Twins? They have. I'll
I think
start
you can
off.
say a lot actually.
I can say Joe Mauer.
No, okay. I'll start.
And I have a lot. I actually want to say. I can say it.
I'll start off with their strength right now. They have a great closer in Glenn Perkins. They have, actually no, not their rotation. They have a solid top 2. Nolasco was just was terrible.
A dud.
He was terrible last year. Joe Mauer, I think last year was he was coming back, not to what he used to be, but what he is now. Dozier's great. Their shortstops right now, I have no idea. Plouffe, I remember when he was called up, he had a lot of potential, but he never got to it, and he's still young. No, I know. And then
Plouffe was my go-to fantasy third baseman whenever I had injuries, by the way.
And Kurt Suzuki, obviously catcher. One thing I love about this team, not because it's a player. He used to be an Angel, Torrey Hunter. I love everything about Torrey Hunter. He's a good player still at the age he is, 38, 39. He's been pretty damn consistent too over the years. He hasn't really declined except that one year where he went from 23 homers with the Angels to 16, but that's not that bad. He's been pretty consistent the last 3 years. He went 16, 17, 17 in homers. At his age right now, he's a great player. The Twins, I don't know. They're rebuilding. I don't know how they're rebuilding. They have they have D. Gordon's brother and that they just drafted, so.
D. Gordon's brother.
Yeah, Nick Gordon, if that's his name.
That's how he's gonna be introduced on the field. Now batting, number 25, D. Gordon's brother.
I remember he was interviewed. He said he's faster than his brother.
Oh, well, we shall see.
Yes. Rudy, what do you think?
Rudy, you said you have a lot to say about this.
I actually quietly really love the rebuild.
Yeah.
Now the Nolasco signing was terrible, but Hughes is pitched great in that big stadium, which is great for his fly ball habits. Irvin Santana is the same kind of pitcher, should be excellent. I don't know why they extended Phil Hughes another year on that contract. That's kind of, you don't really see that a lot, but, I appreciate that they spend money as a rebuilding team to consistently improve as they go along. I appreciate that. And
as a fan, you would appreciate that big time.
I appreciate as a fan, exactly.
I wanted to jump on that Phil Hughes thing, by the way. It's potentially because they watched him decline getting that innings marker, which would have allowed him for a bonus.
Okay. They basically paid him.
They decided, I think we think you deserve this. We're gonna go ahead and extend you a year.
Okay, so
yeah.
But it's not like they're let's say the Braves, looking kind of the middling. They're still, making sure they're still making sure they can still develop as a team, and they're still concentrating on rebuilding through young players. But I guess that's what the Braves are kind of trying to do. But I appreciate that their positions of weaknesses, they're spending money on guys who are who aren't totally old, but still have some good years left, and they're setting up their team for future success. They have two outstanding prospects in Miguel Sano and
Buxton,
as well as they have Alex Meyer, who should be a quality number 3 starter. 3 guys who should be contributors in the majors as soon as next year, maybe the year after, for Sano and Buxton. And they just make smart moves. Like, you don't see a lot of moves. Nolasco, I understand, is terrible, but like, I don't think they didn't lose anything to sign Nolasco. And I just think they make quietly smart moves. And they got Tommy Malone, who is an innings eater, brought Kurt Suzuki off the scrap heaps of free agency. Jordan Schaefer steals a ton of bases. Brian Dozier really kind of declined after an insanely good beginning of the year, but he's still quality.
2020 player.
I just like what they're doing. Torrey Hunter's I think was just a move to kind of just give him his last year as a...
Yeah, I know, but I love Torrey.
They make smart moves. I think they need to get a new emblem though, because it looks like it's from the 90s.
Yeah. We also haven't mentioned that they are gonna have their first season without their longtime manager Ron Gardenhire.
Well,
we gotta see how that's gonna play out for them. So
one thing about the Twins right now is, like, as Rudy, you said, I would appreciate that. I appreciate how they were doing that. As a fan, I would appreciate it big time, because you don't, like, Houston Astros, I'm not saying, I know they have a pretty good future, but just games that Angels played last year, I'm an Angel fan, I watched their games. Games that they played there last year, there was a whole section behind home plate. No one was there. I know they went out and signed Feldman and that stuff last year, but these signings at least get the fans interested. They let the fans know that they're trying to do something, right? So
every Astros fan, I'm pretty sure right now, is stocking up on Jose Altuve jerseys.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than that, but the Twins right now, they have a pretty good fan base too, because
especially considering they live in Minnesota.
Yeah, and there's not really nothing there, but
there's nothing.
Nothing. But
there's a lot of lakes.
There's a lot of lakes. But basically, what these front office, like, they're slowly rebuilding, but they're also sneaky at getting the guys in to get their fans interested, to make sure they know that they're trying to get better, like, every year. They're trying to do all this stuff. As a fan, I would appreciate it big time. I wouldn't want, like, to be one of those teams. I wouldn't want to be our other team of the week, the Orioles fans. No offense to Orioles fans, but right now, I wouldn't have trust in the front office, because they're not going after, or hope in the front office, not trust. Because they're not going after anyone, it seems like.
The Twins have a clear direction.
Exactly.
I've been looking for that term. The A's don't have a clear direction.
The Braves, that's exactly what I was about to say after you said the clear direction. The A's don't have one, the Braves don't.
The direction for the Twins is obvious. Like, it makes perfect sense. Do they have the best prospects? Like, they have insane depth, like pitching prospects or something, or they, do they have the best, young core? Maybe not, but they're not frustrating, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Well, I mean,
I agree with that.
The A's, they have Billy Bean. They have to have some direction, but it's not clear. It's like a puzzle right now. You have no idea.
It's got a Rubik's Cube on.
Yeah.
Treasure map.
Yeah, you have no idea what they're doing, but they did around similar things in 2011, and they came back and won the division in 2012. So, I don't think they're gonna have that same thing this year, but I don't know. They probably have a direction, but we're gonna spend probably 3 years trying to figure out their direction. By that time, they're gonna probably be good again because of Billy Bean. So
yeah, they're definitely, the Twins are probably definitely at least 3 years out. I don't know about the A's, but, the Twins, yeah.
They kind of remind me of what the Cubs did. Or are doing. I feel like they're a stage earlier than what the Cubs have been doing.
I love the Cubs.
To some extent, yeah. They have players that have, like, just kind of been there, that have been playing, you know, respectably, and then you reach that year where you have enough respectable players to be like, man, this team is actually a pretty complete team. So, you know.
Or like on their way to be a great team.
I don't know if they're on that track. They're more on a track to be, I don't know if they're on track to be a team that everybody expects to dominate at this point in time. I think they're going to be one of those teams that, you know, gets enough respectable players to show the world that they're capable of being a playoff team.
Yeah.
Similar to what the Royals did, you know, something like that. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for the topics today. So for the future, again, I'd like to mention that we'd like to get a Q&A started.
Yeah, for sure.
You can email us at warandpeacebaseball@gmail.com, and you can also check us out on Twitter, at WPB_podcast. You can tweet us questions there. If
that would be the easier way to do the Q&A on Twitter, but we'll appreciate anything on email or Twitter. Either way.
Any feedback is much appreciated.
Shout out to Aaron, a guy who commented about Aaron Sanchez being going to be the best rookie next year. That's quite the
prediction.
Quite the risky pick. But I respect the comment, and thanks for just giving the time out of your day to, you know, at least
listen to our.
Just let us know that people are listening. So
first comment on our podcast. Woohoo!
Yeah, well, good. Congrats.
Anyway, yeah, we're probably quite a ways away from actually getting a Q&A going, but that's definitely a goal we're striving towards. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching us this week, and we'll be back next week.
Adios.
Have a good day. Yes, adios. Goodbye.